Matt, people may remember this decision from Trump earlier this week to pause military aid to Ukraine. Any idea that maybe that's what spurred this?
Thanks, Savannah. I think that's a reasonable assessment. It's very clear that this puts Zelenskyy, but also Europe, in a very serious, a very difficult position. Let's just take a step back for a moment and kind of consider the current line of contact in the war in Ukraine. It's been relatively stable, more or less, for about a year now, even longer. And the reason I'm pointing that out is Ukraine is fighting a lot of this war with Ukrainian-made weapons at this point in time. There's a lot of drones. Just the nature of the fight has changed so much since earlier in the war when American weapons really did make an existential difference early on. So things have moved a little bit, but American weapons remain absolutely critical. There's obviously a lot of support from Europe as well, but America brings some very high-profile systems into play, things like HIMARS, even just things such as artillery and just ammunition production capacity. America is almost irreplaceable on a lot of these fronts. And I think for Ukraine to have to face the prospect of losing those things, it would really alter the way the fight is going now. It would put the Ukrainian military in a very different position. It would put Ukrainian civilians in a very different position. I want to point out the Patriot air defense missile system, which currently acts as a big shield around major cities like Kyiv right now. These cities are under siege. They're getting hit by Russian drones and missiles every single day. Things you're hearing about that are correct, though they are exaggerated, the scale of devastation. In some places, a lot of places, Kyiv, for example, in Kharkiv, life goes on to a great extent because of something like Patriot. It's really effective at what it does. It catches a lot of the munitions that Russia's currently using to attack civilians in these cities every single day. So the idea of losing supplies like that, I think, really, again, put Zelenskyy and Europe in a very difficult position. Europe doesn't have the capability to replace something like Patriot. So I think it's a fair assessment that pushed the needle in that direction.
So, Matt, looking forward here, this minerals deal, which was supposed to happen Friday, it didn't. If signed, it would just be the first step toward peace. There's still the very thorny issue of security guarantees. What's next for Ukraine? And is there any indication when this minerals deal could be signed?
So that's the next big question now. Obviously, we've heard from President Trump. It seems like the two sides are getting ready to come back together. For Trump, it's clear that he wants to move forward with this as quickly as possible, the mineral deal and the general peace process as a whole. Zelenskyy, I think, found himself in a very difficult situation the past few days, wants to get out of this situation as quickly as possible. The Europeans as well. So this could happen really at any moment in the next few days. What we're hearing now is that French President Macron, UK Prime Minister Starmer may actually be traveling sometime in the next week or so, we don't quite know, to Washington with Zelenskyy to present a united front and get things back on track.
Matt, quickly tell us what's been the reaction in Russia to this.
There's been a lot of reactions. They are generally quite happy with everything that they've seen playing out here. For the past few weeks, there's been a giant argument between the Western allies and Ukraine about how to approach negotiations with Russia. We haven't really heard anything in terms of what Russia is willing to give away. And frankly speaking, looking at their statements, they've rejected most of the proposals that have been publicly aired, things like Western troops from non-American but NATO countries acting as peacekeepers in Ukraine. Russia's denied that. So on the whole, their position is just as intransigent as it was on day one of the war. Savannah?
All right. Matt Bodner, thank you very much.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.